The only thing God managed to create are organic beings. All these trees and giraffes and humans, they are just organic. But we are now trying to create inorganic entities, inorganic life forms, cyborgs, artificial intelligence, and so forth. If we succeed, and there is a very good chance we will, then very soon we will be beyond the God of the Bible.
Welcome to Washington Times Higher Ground. Now, you have a new book, and this is an exciting book. It's called The 10, How to Live in Love in a World That Has Lost Its Way. And I guess let's start there, because we are living in a world that has really lost its way. And when you look at the culture and where we are, what do you think is the driving force for that chaos?
Well, look, I think my subtitle that you just mentioned says it all. How to live and love in a world that's lost its way. No one, regardless of their political or religious beliefs, would deny we're in a mess right now as a nation and a world. I mean, with all of the political, the moral, the spiritual division, something has desperately gone wrong. I mean, our country seems to be unraveling like a cheap sweater. It's doing so quicker and quicker, it seems like every day. But the diagnosis, what is the cause of this, is what is up for debate. And I believe that at the heart of the chaos in our world today is that we have forgotten God.
Shalom. I would like to give all honor, glory, and praises to YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI BAHASHAM Rakakradash. I would like to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to all you sincere Akim, pushing this word out across the four corners of the world. This is America, a Godless Nation, Part 2. And that takes me right to the book of Psalm, the 10th chapter and the first verse. And as you can see from the heading, a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. And who is the wicked according to the Holy Bible? When you read Malachi, the first chapter, it goes into about the nation of Edom, who are considered as the Most High's border of wickedness. And this is a particular people that the Most High have in the nation will forever. And the biblical Edomites are referencing to the modern Caucasian race. That's their true biblical identity. And on top of that, the wicked is referencing to the nobility of them, the international bankers, the hosts of the high ones when you read Isaiah the 24th chapter and the 21st verse, who YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI has appointed to sit in that power seat of rulership. And according to Job 9 and 24, as it stated, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, and by transgressing the laws of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, Esau Edom has become the slumlord of the earth, which further explains why this earth is in its current chaotic state, creating more people, especially here within America, to have godless behavior. And the word godless simply means lacking reverence or piety for a higher power, which is YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. So if our Lord and Savior YAHAWASHI doesn't come due to the imprint and the wicked vibration Esau is leaving upon this earth, no flesh will be saved. So therefore, this is a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. So this is the book of Psalm 10 and 1. Why standest thou afar off, O Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked, again referencing to the nobility of Esau Edom, in his pride do persecute the poor. And the main poor, according to the Holy Scriptures, are referencing to the nation of Israel, the biblical Israelites, who happens to be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the true lost sheep of the house of Israel. And according to the book of Zephaniah, we are that nation that's not desired. We as the biblical Israelites are not within the best interest when it comes to the nobility of Esau Edom on down to his joint heirs, which are these other nations that are in cahoots with him. Because from their perspective, speaking about these other nations, the more our people are within that dead state, being those dry bones, as it's stated within the book of Ezekiel, then the more these other heathen nations can stay into rulership. And the spiritual reason behind it, they financially thrive off our kryptonite, which is sin culture. are transgressions of YAHAWAH BAHASHM YAHAWASHI, which also further explains why you see sin culture is being more marketable and fashionable within this current society. And the end results of that type of degenerate behavior, that's creating more of a godless nation. So the wicked in his pride do persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. So we are all, as the biblical Israelites, afflicted here. No matter what type of status, quarter riches, or glory that you have within this society. Even for the ones of our people's consolations have been received, you are still being afflicted here. Which is why it's stated within the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, how he, referencing to Esau, Edom, shall wear out the saints of the Most High. And once you go into the word wear out in the blue letter, it goes into to harass constantly, which is a significant and spiritual token that this hellhole America is not our rest. Verse 3, for the wicked boasted of his heart's desire and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHM YAHAWASHI abhorreth. And we just saw a clear prime example of the wicked boasting of his heart's desire at the beginning of this video, which was Yuval Noah Harari. And they reference him as the prophet of science. And he's a noble figure of Esau Edom. And more so, he's an advisory to Klaus Schwab, another noble figure of the nation of Esau Edom, who created the WEF, which is the World Economic Forum. And Klaus Schwab is globally known for his statement about the Great Reset during the so-called pandemic. And this Great Reset is going into their left-hand NWO, and more so a digital international paradigm. And a major part of that paradigm is transhumanism, which is the idea of merging human to machine or robotics. And throughout that video, you just saw Yuval Noah Harari proudly boasting about this upcoming international paradigm, which is their NWO. Verse 4, the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after YAHAWAH BAHASHM YAHAWASHI. YAHAWAH BAHASHM YAHAWASHI is not in all his thoughts. And through that video again, Yuval Noah Harari stated they will be beyond the God of the Bible. Like once they fully implement this left-hand upcoming NWO. And this is how the nobility of Esau Edom thinks. And that negative vibration has caused a major disturbance within the earth. Which leads me to verse 5. His ways are always grievous. And when you read Isaiah the 10th chapter in the first verse, it goes into about woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and their right grievousness which they have prescribed. And that's by neglecting from the true standard, which are the laws, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWAH BAHASHM YAHAWASHI. And now the nobility of Esau Edom has got so powerful that they create their own ordinances, decrees, laws, statutes, and commandments. So due to that God complex Esau has developed within his rulership, he feels untouchable. Which takes me to verse 6. He has said in his heart, I should not be moved, for I should never be in adversity. And the pride of Esau Edom is really likened unto the scenario with ancient Egypt dealing with Pharaoh. How the Most High has hardened his heart and placed them on this pedestal concerning rulerships and dominions. And already being powerful by nature, he has developed this God complex syndrome, which is going to make his great fall even harder. And also to globally magnify the names of YAHAWAH BAHASHM YAHAWASHI. Which takes me to this article right here from WashingtonTimes.com, and how these different Edomite Christians are seeing the spiritual corruptness and really the moral decadence within this American society. And of course, you know, these lower level Edomites are powerful as well, and they believe that they can heal or mend America from this spiritual sickness. So again, this article is from Washington Times, and the title says, "We have forgotten God. Pastor Robert Jeffress addresses spiritual division in America." So right here it says, Arthur televangelist, and leading pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas, Dr. Robert Jeffress has some striking words about the division in America and how there's a simple answer to mend our culture and our country: the 10 Commandments. In his new book, The 10, How to Live and Love in a World That Has Lost Its Way, he explores the timeless truths of living in a relationship with God instead of in competition with Him. So it's no possible idea or answer that you could be able to mend or heal America, which is Babylon the Great, according to the Holy Scriptures. Because according to Jeremiah 51:6, it says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon." And this is only speaking to the remnant of the nation of Israel, who are considered as the Israel of the Most High, the elect. So flee out of the midst of Babylon, meaning to spiritually depart, detach from this wicked vibration of this American society. Hence that Babylonian wine. Micah 2:10, "Arise and depart, for this is not your rest." So flee out of the midst of Babylon. And according to 2 Ezra 2:36, flee the shadow of this world. So meaning spiritually detach. So flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her, referencing to America, Babylon the Great, a recompense, which goes into a payback. And within the book of Baruch 4:32, in the Apocrypha, it's stated, "Miserable are the cities which thy children serve." And those cities are referencing to the United States of America, which is the focal point of an impending divine judgment, where the true biblical Israelites are mainly held captive at. Verse 7, "Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand," which goes into that Babylonian wine. And some of those ingredients within that Babylonian wine is westernization, democracy, feminism, Satanism, adultery, Christianity, Roman Catholicism, and the rest of these wayward philosophies and ideologies, this alphabet game movement, and all of those things partake into the image of the beast, which is synonymous to that Babylonian wine, which is that wine of violence when you read the book of Proverbs, the 4th chapter. So Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that had made all the earth drunken. Hence that westernization, which is likened unto a cancerous tumor that has really spread across the four corners of the world. And now all of these different nations have engulfed into that toxic Babylonian wine, which has made them morally corrupted. Therefore the nations are mad. Verse 8, now going to the point of this pastor, Robert Jeffress, as he stated how they could be able to mend America by applying the 10 Commandments. But you Americans, especially you Edomite Americans, are way too late within the game in trying to introduce this type of method. Because according to the book of Psalm 50:16, the Most High asks, "What hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou takest my covenant in thy mouth?" And by default, Esau being crooked, which means that he can't get right spiritually, he hates divine instructions. So he casts the Most High's words behind him. And that type of mindset and behavior, and especially by you being into rulership, these are the consequences of it. Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. So trying to apply the 10 Commandments, but in actuality it's more than 10 Commandments. It's actually 613 commandments. And Esau has not kept one. Remember, he's biblically known as the man of sin. So why do you think he's going to apply the laws, statutes, and commandments of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI when he's actually breaking his own different ordinances, decrees, and laws? So Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. So it's no type of healing or mending methods such as monetary aid or trying to spiritually pray for America to help these prideful Americans on the road to recovery. The sin of immorality destroys nations. Like this place is done. So verse 9, we will have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country, For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted even to the skies. And that takes me right to the book of Psalm 9 verse 15 within the NLT. The nations have fallen into the pit they dug for others. Hence the nation of Edom. They'll develop this pit for us as the biblical Israelites to fall in. Again, which is sin culture. Because according to the book of Romans, the wages of sin is death. So by us as the biblical Israelites being the super people or the superhumans upon the earth, these heathen nations who are considered as our biblical enemies, they know our kryptonite. They know our weaknesses. That's why Esau is known as the accuser of our brethren. So he has set the pit they dug for others. Their own feet have been caught in the trap they set, which further explains why it's a pending divine judgment upon the sinful kingdom, America, Babylon the Great. Verse 16, the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI is known for his justice, which goes into his fairness, his equity, his righteousness within his words. The wicked are trapped by their own deeds. The wicked go down to the grave, which means hell. This is the fate of all nations who ignore YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. And that takes me right back to this article from Washington Times. We have forgotten God. Now, player, you all have forgotten God, because according to Baruch, the 2nd chapter and 30th verse within the Apocrypha, it stated, in the land of their captivities, referring to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, they should remember themselves. And by us remembering ourselves, that means that we remember our power source, which is YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. They are no longer hiding their face from the hopeful elect. So you all have forgotten God. And in reality, you really do not know him when it comes to truly worshiping him within this rightful manner. That concept only applies to the Israel of the Most High, who is going to be associated with that standard of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI in these latter times. So I just read it verbatim. We have forgotten God. Pastor Robert Jeffress addresses spiritual division in America. And as our big brother Yahawashi stated within the book of Mark, the 3rd chapter, if a kingdom or a house be divided against itself, then that particular kingdom or house cannot stand. And that definitely applies to America, which is that sinful kingdom. So with that, hopefully you all was edified, you all stay strong, keep pushing forward. Shalom.
You know, back in 1863, when President Lincoln issued his first day of repentance and return to God, he asked the question in that proclamation, what is it that is tearing our country apart? And he answered his own question. We have forgotten God. And I think 160 years later, you can say the same thing. We think that we know better than God knows about how to run our lives, how to run our country, how to run our businesses. And the result has been absolute chaos. I was on Fox News last night and they were talking about a study that shows that anxiety is at an all-time high. And they were saying, well, why is that? And I said, well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. At the same time, anxiety is at all-time high. Church attendance, Bible reading, prayer is at an all-time low. I think there's a relationship. I mean, if we are nothing more than, as the humanists say, a biological blob and we're just victims of a random universe, then there's a lot to be anxious about. But we need to remember there is a God to whom we're accountable. And instead of producing anxiety in us, that ought to produce a lot of comfort. And so I think it's now is the time more than ever we need to say, we've made a mistake in trying to decouple ourselves from God and his word. You know, the humanists have been on an experiment for the last 60 years in our country saying, let's see if we can be good without God. Remember back in the 1960s, there was a rabid attempt by the secularists to ban any public expression of faith, whether it was prayer, Bible reading, or ultimately the 10 Commandments in 1980. Saying we don't need God to be good. Well, yes, we do.